I'm going to take you around the theatre in the spaces that the public don't normally see and let you experience a bit of the magic. But first of all, I want you to introduce you to the person that founded the Birmingham Rep 103 years ago, and his name is Sir Barry Jackson, or Barry as he was known at the time. Barry Jackson was a grocer from Birmingham, and he had a vision, and his vision was to get art out to and available to everybody in Birmingham. So we moved into our new building in 1971 in Broad Street in Birmingham, and we no longer do repertory theatre, but what we do, just as Barry Jackson wanted us to do, is to create new innovative theatre. So we're a producing theatre, and we try to produce theatre that's accessible to everybody. We're now in the paint shop, so directly behind the stage, and this is where everything that's made in the workshop comes to be painted. So we move in flat scenery into here to let our head of paint shop, Chris, do his magic. It's an unusual space because most of our theatre, apart from the auditorium, was rebuilt when Birmingham Library was built, but this wasn't touched. And the reason it wasn't touched is that we have a frame on which we can paint, and the frame is the size of the back of our stage, which is huge. Now the frame goes down into a gully, so it allows the people who are working on flats to stand upright and paint instead of having to look down above and have it laid on the floor. So it's an absolute godsend for our scenic artists. We're now in wigs and makeup. So how do you make a wig? Well, if we've got a particular wig that we need for an actor in one of our shows, first of all, they'll take a model of the actor's head, and they'll do that using cling film. And they'll make the cling film solid by putting sellotape on it, then take that off the actor's head and pat it out with tissue and put it on a wig block like this. So this is a wig block that we've already got the model of the actor's head on. And then what we do is to put a mesh on top of that. And then the person making the wig has to thread through individual hairs, human hairs, through that mesh. So at the back of the wig, you can get away with doing 3 or 4 at a time. But when you want some detail at the front, particularly where there's going to be a parting or something, they have to thread through one human hair at a time. So as you can imagine, you have to be a certain sort of person to do that type of work. As well as doing wigs, we also do prosthetics. So you can imagine that if we're doing a show that involves a wicked witch or something, she's going to need a really ugly nose and maybe she'll need big ears. We did the BFG the other year and he had to have big ears and big toes. So we'll take models of the actors, whichever part of the body it is, nose, ears, toes, and we'll create whatever it is that part of the body needs to look like. Sometimes we go to extremes. So there was one of our young rep shows, that's our youth theatre, and they were doing one of the Henry plays, and one of the young actors, his character had his head cut off. So what they needed to do is they wanted to make it look realistic. So they did a model of his head, but it was so gruesome that actually they had to show it to his parents before they came to see the show, because they thought they might be rather distressed, and I'll just show you that now. So here he is in all his gruesome glory, having had his head severed.